at this point, if you were a Toronto fan, and this is straight face, dead serious, like you should look into getting therapy because by now, like that is a lot to handle. That is a lot to handle, a lot to take in, many years of depression.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brews and Bruise Reviews, the show of cold drinks and even colder takes. So last episode, we did a review of the Canucks season. So if you didn't catch that one, make sure to go check it out. It's a great episode. I did it with my friends and fellow Canucks fans, Alex Gillies and Quinn Askew. The link will be in the description below. So we've got a great episode planned for you guys today, featuring some awesome guests and fellow NHL hockey fans, Derek Sciuk and Conor Lahey. So both having had illustrious careers as goaltenders in competitive hockey for many years, we're going to do a special segment where we analyze this goalie matchup of the century here in the Stanley Cup semifinal, where we have on one hand the Montreal Canadians, Carey Price, facing off on the other hand against the Las Vegas Golden Knights, Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, both Canadian goalies at the top of their game. We're going to do a deep dive into their goaltending styles and personalities, which, while very different in character and playing style, were on fire leading up to this series, leading their respective teams within only a couple games of the Stanley Cup final. And since Conor is a die-hard Montreal Canadiens fan, and today is Saint-Jean Baptiste, the national holiday for the province of Quebec. Oh, whoops, did I just say national? Good thing we're not afraid of a little controversy here on Brews and Bruise Reviews with the French-Canadian Habs hockey team, French-Canadian goalie in Marc-Andre Fleury, and the overall Francophone theme of this episode. We did a brew review of a very well-known French-Canadian beer. So we're going to be going over this Cinderella story of the underrated and highly overlooked Habs team, this goalie comparison between Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury, which I already mentioned, and a whole lot more on this episode of Brews and Bruise Reviews. So stay tuned. And now, over to the good stuff.
Welcome to the show, boys.
Right on. I'm honored, buddy. I'm honored to be here.
Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, excited for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, well, so we got some drinks because it's a very special time. You know, we got one Canadian team left in the NHL playoffs, and they happen to be a French-Canadian team. So we've got some French-Canadian beers to review for you guys. Very special.
Let's do it.
So, Conor, why don't you go first? Why don't you introduce the beer that you got there?
Sure. So I'm drinking a classic Labatt 50. You know, you can get these guys in the 740s, and that packs a good punch. You don't see them too often in the bottle, but when you do, you should buy them up because they're collector's items, boys. When I'm talking the bottle, I'm not talking any old bottle. I'm talking a 740 ml down the hatch. You see what I'm saying? You get a couple of those flowing and on a nice, hot, sunny day.
That is a dirty one.
Jeez. That'll put you in the now. Yeah, I'm having my first couple of sips here, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time.
What percent is it?
It's a 5%er.
5%? Okay.
Nice classic can, you know. It reminds me of a sports logo almost.
I like that can.
You know?
I like it.
Yeah. And it's easy to
drink.
drink.
What about you, Derek? What do you got there?
I just got a Labatt Blue, man. Nothing better. It's my go-to drink every Friday. One of these.
Is that the regular Labatt or
Yeah, I think it's the regular. Let me give it. What's the rules here? Is it one sip or how we doing?
One sip. Everyone knows the rules. Let me just crack this one open. I think Derek and I have got the same one here. So for those of you that don't know, Labatt is an Eastern Canadian brand, so they don't really brew out of BC anymore. So it's hard to get your hands on the different ones. So I got just the regular Labatt Classic here, blue label. One sip, everyone knows the rules.
Yeah, how far did you have to go to get those pints?
Oh, I had to call like 6 different liquor stores, man. It was a gong show for sure. But you know what? It's going down kind of easy. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, absolutely dedicated.
Not a bad midday sipper there.
It gives you the Quebec feel, man. You can taste Quebec in this beer, like the classic French style.
The first sip, it just takes me right over to the cottage there, just sitting on the lakeside cottage, like.
I'm probably going maybe a 7.55 or something like that. What are you boys thinking?
That's a high rating for a fucking shitty Quebec Labatt, man. Really?
I think the 50, just because of its heritage, it's gonna be high. I don't think it's a 7.55 high. I'll give it give it a 6.8. I don't wince after I take a sip. It goes down pretty smooth when it hits the back of your throat. So
I think the 50s come out as smooth as the Blues, I think, for sure. What are you thinking there, Westy?
I was thinking it was going to be worse than it actually is, but it is kind of smooth. Like it's not terrible.
It's not bad. That's what I was thinking too.
Just because of the nostalgia, like takes me back to my Ontario days a little bit. I'm thinking like 5.7.
That's probably fair.
It's the type of beer that you don't want to taste in your mouth the next morning. You know what I mean?
Not gonna lie, on the podcast, I bought a couple of beers ago because I was like, we're drinking Labatt. I don't know if I can do the whole thing, but it's not bad.
All right, so between the two of us, the blue label, what did you say, 7.5 and 5.7, probably like 6. Probably, let's say 6.6 for the blue label.
Yeah, Labatt 50 comes out on top just because of the can. Come on.
Yeah,
heritage, baby, heritage.
I gotta order a couple of those ones. Maybe they'll send me one after this episode. Who knows?
Exactly. I'll send you one of the classic bottles.
All right, so there we go. We got the Labatt review there. So let's just get right down into it. So Derek, you've been a competitive athlete for a little while. You played hockey, you were a goaltender, and you also played football at a competitive level. You're 6'6", single, ladies. Look out for this guy. Also at Ottawa U Engineering, civil engineer. So how do you do it? For the fans, like, do you have any sort of morning routine besides, waking up and being a douchebag?
Just grind it out, man. Just put in the work you have to, and finish it off with a nice cold Labatt Blue. That'll keep the ship running.
Respect. And I love the bucket, by the way. That's a sweet one.
Yeah, thanks. I think you remember you tried to buy this off me in high school.
We don't
probably offered you a couple of Labatt.
So we had this got this Montreal Vegas series going. Did you guys watch game 1?
Oh yeah, fucking dedicated, start to finish, baby.
So I felt like it was actually pretty evenly matched towards the end. The score wasn't really representative of the contest there. I mean, it ended up being like 4-1 or something for Vegas. Vegas is a tough team. I mean, they've got so much offensive power, but I mean, you guys, I don't know if you noticed, but in the first period there, guys like Romanov and Perry, they were like, Vegas is a big team and Montreal doesn't have a lot of size that can contend with them, but those boys were out there laying pipe, man. Like seriously, they had some big key hits in the first period, kind of set the tone. You love to see it. Nothing like playoff hockey.
Yeah, I actually thought Montreal came out really strong in the first game and really set the tone. Like they weren't really getting the bounces in the first game like they have in the past, but definitely guys like Corey Perry, big body presence, kind of bit of a rat on the ice.
Little snake in the grass, eh?
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely letting his presence be known out there for sure. But
yeah, I mean, Corey Perry, I mean, he's certainly regressed in terms of his goal scoring in the past couple of years, but I mean, he was a regular season MVP what was it, like 8 years ago or something. So he's not playing at the same caliber he was, but tons of playoff experience. Just one of those veteran guys that he does like so many little things out there on the ice. He's such a pest. You hate playing against him, but when he's on your team, you love to have him there.
Absolutely great signing too, coming in probably at like a minimum out on the books, and really makes us.
I think that line is huge for Montreal with him and Stahl out there just bumping bods around. You know what I mean?
Stahl's been doing well too.
Yeah, going back to your point on Romanov and Petry, if I remember correctly, Petry was sitting out the first game.
Yeah,
guy has a fucking broken hand, and so a guy like Petry, we did miss him for a couple of games, and you notice when he's not out there. Romanov, threw the ball around a couple of times, which we love to see. Big hit on Peter Angelo there in the first period, but I'm saying Petry back in the lineup. Who knows? Vegas doesn't know what's coming, especially with those devilish eyes he's got.
Oh man, let's talk about that. So I heard it was something like it was like a pop blood vessel or something in his eyes, or what's that all about? Because he looked like
here's what
alien.
I understand though. I've seen that before, right? I've seen people get the pop blood vessel in the eye, not both eyes at the same time though. So what's really going on behind?
I do not know. What's going on with that? Maybe something to do with his painkillers or something.
Yeah, maybe him and Drouin were spending some time together. Drouin's been on a bit of a leave there for whatever reason, unspecified. But maybe he opened up his door to Perry there for a little while to get over the hand pain.
you never know with those French Canadians, hey?
Hey, we salute them.
So Carey Price is playing pretty well. He's been on fire all these the entire playoffs, just like really just carrying the Habs there, and pun intended. But anyways, like how demoralizing is it as a hockey player because the Habs had so many chances in that early in the first game, and Marc-Andre Fleury was just an absolute brick wall. And then the Knights come back and like one of their first opportunities, they score. Like after just peppering Fleury with so many shots and opportunities, nothing seems to go through. And then like on one of their first opportunities, they managed to put one by Carey Price. That just sucks.
Yeah. I think getting that first goal for Vegas was huge in the first game. Like Montreal's been playing a bit more defensive in the playoffs, and just having that comfort of getting the first goal, knowing you don't need to come back is huge. So I think, that first game after they had all those chances and then one just seemed to go in Price, not like it has in the past few series, that was definitely tough for Montreal. But so I'm going to come back in the second game and get that first goal going. I think it's like huge. Like you said, Jake, it's like one of those nights on the first game where like the bounces just weren't going their way. You have a lot of chances. And I think in the first few rounds, they totally were going their way, and Price was standing on his head. So it's definitely looking better for them now.
And going back to it, like everyone's been talking about, it's a nice series having Price and Fleury playing against each other. We haven't really seen these guys match up against each other in a long time. Both veteran goalies, both amazing. Obviously, Fleury, has got the Stanley Cups under his belt. But a situation like this, although Price is going for the win, Price is playing against Fleury. And so when something like that happens, where Fleury comes out of the gate, makes 10 great saves off the hop, Carey's losing that battle right there because he's letting in almost the first shot, and so that definitely gets into your head as a goalie. You're being outplayed by the other tender, and that's it, right? Like I wouldn't I wouldn't go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, Price is like the backbone of their team too. So like they know they need Price to outplay Fleury if they want to win the series. So like you're saying, like getting outplayed by Fleury early on really gets into your head when you've got to be that guy.
Okay? You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay. Are you? Absolutely.
For them to advance.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
that's.
Go ahead, Wesley.
Sorry, that's such a good point, because we've got two of maybe, I think, the best goaltenders in the league in Marc-Andre Fleury and Carey Price. And, this is kind of the matchup we all wanted to see. Like, as hockey fans, this is pretty monumental here. I mean,
Two legends going on, man.
yeah.
I
Two
remember
legends
as a
going
kid being a
on.
goalie, like always looking up to Fleury, like he had the yellow pads when he's back in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Just like from Quebec, I don't know, definitely legend of the game, and Price as well. I mean, a lot of goalies are just obsessed with that guy, so I know Lahey is.
Oh, bud. See the picture I got in my bedroom.
And you know, we all love Carey Price, great Canadian kid, family man as well. He's been an absolute stud these playoffs. Can't really say much about that, except there's one thing that I have against him. One thing, and I hate to say it. I hate to be the guy to bring it up, but here it goes. His mask is ugly. There, I said it. I'm sorry, I had to say it. You know, it's just like one Habs logo on the top. Like, come on, mix in some creativity there, Carey.
I will agree with you on that. Fleury's got him beat in the style department in regards to equipment.
The yellow pads.
When you play in Vegas, you better be prepared to customize your gear to the max. And Fleury has gone full French Canadian on that. Beautiful gold cage, gold pads. It's just, it's a great setup.
Yeah. I mean, that whole Vegas arena, I mean, it's all about style. Like, how many of those fans do you think actually know a thing or two about hockey? Like,
not a single one. Not a single one. And everyone in the stands has money on Vegas too. So
yeah.
That's how they get them riled up. They probably get a discount because they have a ticket. They just show it at the door and bet 365, way you go, MGM Grand, here we come. Hey?
That's a scary crowd though, man. The start of the game, like watching the pregame and all the hype up and everything, and seeing them walk out of the tunnel, definitely a little intimidating. Like, pretty tough for a Habs team to go into that building just absolutely buzzing and try to get a win out of there.
And then here they are, tied it up, baby.
Tied it up.
Big one.
Oh man, and yeah, you couldn't be more right. I mean, some of those Habs guys, some of them are pretty young. I mean, imagine going into your first playoff game and you have to face Vegas on the road in that crazy stadium after a full year playing without fans. Definitely pretty intimidating, I gotta say.
Yeah, like guys like Cole Caulfield, they never played in front of an NHL crowd before in their career, you know. So definitely tough. But
well, he played in front of 2,500 in Montreal, and when he played in front of 2,500 in Montreal, it feels like 25,000. We know that, eh?
It could be 35,000.
Yeah.
Are they pumping crowd noise in Montreal still? The fans? I'm not sure.
No, don't need it, buddy.
Don't need it.
What did I just say?
So we talked about Corey Perry being one of the veterans on Montreal. Let's talk about and you know, the effectiveness and having him on the line. Let's talk about one of the veterans on the Vegas team. So how about Marc Stone in his third conference final? The guy is an absolute monster. You know, when he gets in front of the goalie like that, he gets in front of Carey Price, takes away his eyes. He's such a menace. He's such a pest right there because he's so big and strong and he can just muscle people out of the way. You can't push him out of that area. And so he blocks Carey Price's vision. And he's also got some of the best hand-eye coordination in the show, I'd say. Like, whether it's blocking Carey Price's vision or, you know, getting a deflection, he's just so lethal in front of that crease right there.
And not even in front of the crease, Westy. Like, this guy, year after year after year, leads the league in takeaways. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the size of the knob on his stick, but the guy just has a knack for it. I'm telling you, even I think in the playoffs, he's leading the league in friggin' takeaways. And when you can have a guy that pulls the puck off of you when you're in the offensive zone, like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? He's just a little rat. He's tough to get off the puck, and he can take the puck off you like nothing. So
yeah, it's really hard to focus as a tendy when you got this friggin' caveman Neanderthal just wandering around in front of you.
Yeah, guys, like I do like that guy.
As much as I want the Habs to win, as a Sens fan myself, seeing Marc Stone, like, seeing him go all the way wouldn't be bad either. He's a heart and soul guy. Really, like, team loves him, and it's hard not to cheer for that guy.
We were part of his development down here in Ottawa, Dirk. So you could
Yeah, we helped him out a little bit.
Take that to the grave, eh?
But hasn't scored yet in the series, has he? I don't think so.
No, but yesterday, so there was a bad goal let in by Price at the end of the second period. I believe it was Pietrangelo who scored it for Vegas. But guess who was in front of the net blocking Carey Price's vision? It was none other than Marc Stone.
Yeah, that was nice. I don't know. What do you think of those goals, Lahey? I thought like they got a couple point shots on Price, and
yeah, man. All I can
like,
say, the reason I was staying up is because the adrenaline was pumping and the palms were sweaty. That's all I'm gonna say. There was some scary moments last night, but yeah, when you got a guy like Marc Stone just flashing his knob in front of Carey Price's face, it's tough to see those pucks. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, Google it right now if you're listening to this podcast. His knob is about the size of this Labatt 50 can. No word of a lie. And so there, all the kids out there, if you want to be the best at taking away pucks, just lather the tape up on that knob. I'm telling you.
It's all about the hockey tape.
It's all about the tape, boys.
Yeah, and okay, so let's talk about Carey Price. So, he's usually just so solid. He's known as one of the, if not the best goalie in the world right now. He's been just carrying the Habs. He's been just so solid. But, he has those moments. He has those moments where he's like, he lets in a soft one once in a while. Maybe just, gets out of the zone in his head a little bit. What do you guys think? What do you have on Carey Price?
Don't talk to Lahey. He's a huge Habs fan. Give you a real take. Take you the Habs.
Okay. Here we go. So for me, I've always been a huge fan of Price. The last 5 years hasn't been the best. We've had our moments of Carey Price for sure. But throughout this playoffs, not even this season, Carey Price this season was mediocre. And then I guess the break from the injury coming back into the playoffs, something clicked. And he has just been super friggin' solid. And series 1 and 2 against Toronto, I didn't really notice anything terrible, no bad goals to a certain degree, I guess. And it's only been this series where I've definitely noticed a couple of weekies going in. Who knows if it has to do with the crowd, could be a little bit more of a distraction or just the pressure of being in the conference final here. But I think for the most part, he's been the most solid that I've seen him play in the last 5 years plus, to be honest. So can't complain about that,
I'd have to agree. I remember back in maybe it was 2015, there's a few series where I think Craig Anderson actually outplayed Carey Price in some of the series and led in some softies. So I wasn't as convinced about Carey Price or the great goal he was, but after seeing him in that first round against Toronto, he was just completely dialed, totally locked in, playing like no one else I have seen in the NHL. So, but then this series though, he has led in a few softies. So I think he's going to be interesting to watch. Can he he's got to be basically perfect for them to move on. So that'll be interesting to watch to see if he can move some of those softies a little bit.
And last night, the 2 goals they got, the first one, it looks weak. It's from the point. You don't like letting in goals from the point, but there were 5 guys standing in front of him. You know what I mean? He saw the puck as soon as it went in the back of the net. He didn't have a clue where that thing was. And it's tough. When you can't see the puck, you're not going to make the save, right? And then the second goal, a little bit weak, but Vegas had that play drawn up perfectly and they executed it perfectly. So it's tough, man.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Vegas, man. They got so many weapons. It doesn't even matter where it is, defense, offense. And they got Alex Tuck on their third line. It's just it's stupid. It's just stupid how good they are for such a new team. But you know what? For as good as they are and how much bigger they got, friggin' Ryan Reaves just bullying guys out there. At the end of the second period yesterday, the hits were 40 for the Habs and 30 for the Knights. So, I mean, the Knights are a bigger team, but, the Habs are playing bigger. They're aggressive. They're a chippy team. And, you love to see that from an underdog, not the favorite. They don't have as many fans in the arena to support them, but you know, they're putting up hits. They're laying their bodies out on the line there, and you know,
to their benefit as well. Like you were saying earlier, Derek, they came out flying in that first game. You know, they were the better team for the first 5-10 minutes of that game. And then all of a sudden, you know, tables turned and Vegas started bullying them back, and they sort of collapsed on themselves, let in a couple of tough goals, and it's hard to bounce back from that. But no, I think they just got to keep doing that. Just keep going out there and, you know, giving it back to Vegas, because Vegas is a big team. They've got some big bods out there, and they don't mind throwing them around, like Ryan Reaves, who I like. I do like Ryan Reaves a lot. I think he'd be an asset on your team just because he's such a fucking mutt.
I think Marc Bergevin actually got to credit him what he's done to bring in like Corey Perry, Mark Stahl, like Petry for the trade for Weber a couple of years ago. Like they have increased their size a little bit. Like they're not as small as they used to be. So they're definitely like a big team in the playoffs. I think they've increased.
Hey, speaking about Bergevin, let's bring him up for a minute, just because that guy is an absolute legend in his own.
You love him or you hate him?
Oh yeah, but so I don't know what he had for the Leafs series, but for the Jets series, he had a red suit on for every game. Now he's got a lime green suit on. Like, what's that all about? Why wouldn't he just stick with the red suit? That's what worked. You know what I mean?
I think the red was for all the series clinching games, or like maybe the elimination games. He was going red suit or something. I don't know.
No, all series against
series,
Winnipeg, he had the red one. Now he's got a lime green one on.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's probably pretty pumped to be in Vegas, though.
Yeah. Oh, he was taking full advantage of Vegas for sure.
100%. The boys stayed at the best hotel.
And speaking of you know, sort of superstitions that hockey players have, let's direct the conversation over to a former Canuck,
Ottawa 67's alum. Yeah.
Yeah, a Canucks alumni, to the bane, which is the bane of many Vancouver fans' existence right now, seeing as Mr. Benning refused to pay him his money, even though he was well worth what the Habs ended up paying him. Tyler Toffoli. So as I understand it, didn't his wife miss the first game?
Something like that. Yeah, she wasn't able to watch the game. They won. And so since that point, she hasn't turned on the TV yet to watch the game. She gets her updates from Twitter.
She's not allowed to watch the games anymore, eh?
Not allowed to watch the games. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think that Toffoli's like telling her not to watch, or do you think it's herself, just like superstition? I don't know.
You know what? It might be her, because I feel like for this sort of employment type, you know, you definitely bring work home with you. And for her, you know, she doesn't have a job herself, so, you know, why not help out the husband, you know, fill out a couple more reports for him here.
Just helping out in any way she can, really.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, it seemed to work so far. We're down to the final four here, so.
You switch it up and lose a few games, or do you stick with it though? Like, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell because we haven't lost a couple games here in a while. So, yeah, we, you know, everyone breaks. So we just needed to lose one. You forget what the feeling's like, right? So being able to lose the one puts you back in the now. But when you walk through Winnipeg, I mean, like, what are you supposed to expect after that, right? Like, you're playing a house ski team out there.
Yeah. So Conor, were you surprised? I mean, given the fact that Marc Scheifele was out for the series, I mean, the Jets weren't going to be at full strength, but I mean, having swept Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers, were you surprised to see the Habs just toss the Winnipeg Jets as easily as they did?
No. That's all I'm going to say about that, baby. No problem. It was a walk in the park, and the Leafs were a walk in the park. So, like, we should have had a bye right to the Stanley Cup final here. You know, Vegas is a joke. We're probably going to run them over. So,
oh man,
yeah, it's full steam ahead. You know, it's been a while since they brought one home to Montreal, and I can't wait to go down for the Stanley Cup parade there. So I think it'd be a good time. No masks on, you know.
And that's got to be embarrassing for McDavid, though. Gets swept by the Jets, and then the Jets get swept. Like,
oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Like, you guys didn't even want to give him one game just for McDavid, really? It's tough, man.
That guy needs to get out of there, man. That guy needs to do something with his hockey career. He's probably going to Seattle. Speaking of which, I think Toronto should sell the franchise to Quebec City. That's a fucking waste of an organization there.
Move it to the Hammer or something, man. Toronto doesn't deserve it.
Toronto doesn't deserve it, man. They truly don't. Like, the assets these guys have is incredible, and they literally just can't get out of the first round of the playoffs. Like, they run everyone over in the regular season, and then when it comes down to it, they all forget how to play hockey. And
I think Marner had a tea time booked the next day after they were out of the playoffs too. That's a little.
Marner had that tea time booked 2 weeks in advance, man. He knew what was going down. Called the course. It's COVID requirements. You got to book it in advance anyway. So he was fighting about it.
Did he really have a tea time, or is that just?
Yeah, he actually did. He actually played like the next day after they were eliminated.
Oh my goodness!
Insider information, love it.
He didn't want to make it to the next round. He just wanted to play some golf,
work on his game a little bit.
Man, like, I can't imagine how hard it is to play in the NHL playoffs. Like, you know, I'm obviously biased because I'm a Montreal fan, but look at these guys like Shea Weber wincing in pain every period last night, getting shots right off the wrist, off the shin, and Jeff Petry's got Satan's eye going with the broken hand. Like, yeah, I don't know how they do it. Well, I have an idea of how they do it, and it probably has to do with some needle action or something like that. But it's really impressive, the drive these friggin' guys have, I'll have to say.
It's so brutal, man. There's like, if I said it once, I'll say it a million times. There's nothing like playoff hockey. These guys are just like, it brings me back to that cup run the Sens had a while back. And then, like, everything's said and done, it's over. And you find out later, you know, Erik Karlsson was playing the whole time with, what was it, like a fractured foot or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy these guys go through. Like, everyone's dealing with something. Nobody's healthy. That run by Ottawa actually reminds me a lot of this current Montreal run, a team who, like, no one really thought was going to go far. And that's a sense, and that's why I'm cheering for the Habs. Just like, it feels like a glory run at this point. So, and like you said about like the motivation, like, it honestly feels like oftentimes the guys who want the most are the guys who win it as well. Like, you can tell the Habs just like they're really bought in on what the team's doing. And
the one issue I have to say that I do have with the Habs, and it's not just this series or it's not just these last few games, it's kind of been their entire season, is they'll get a lead and then they'll play defensive and they'll fall back. And a team like Vegas can sense that and they recognize that, and so they will pepper them. And you definitely saw that, you know, near the end of the second when Vegas got their goal. Like, Montreal was getting to about the red line, maybe flipping it in. Don't take your foot off the gas pedal, baby. Grind it to the end.
Gotta keep pumping them.
Can't play defensive here. Can't play. Yeah, exactly. Can't play defensive. I do love, however, I don't know if you boys saw at the end of the game, like, there was almost a bench clearing brawl there, and so I think the rest of this series is going to be something special, bringing it back to Montreal and getting the Montreal fans into Vegas's ears here. So.
Actually, I did see that. I think, wasn't that orchestrated by, I think it was Corey Perry, wasn't he? He was like going at guys.
No, it was Toffoli and maybe Pietrangelo or something like that. But love to see it.
Okay, but did you guys see it when I think Corey Perry was going around and like, he was like
Ryan Reaves. He gave him a
yeah, he gave him one of those. And Reaves is just laughing at him. He can't believe it.
Yeah, Reaves is he's nails that guy. That guy is he's a beaut. I would like that guy on my team, but I don't like him because he's not on my team now. But
yeah. I mean, you can't when he's on the ice, you can't be a tough guy because he's the toughest guy in the show.
He's massive. He's got cinder blocks for fists too. Oh,
jeez.
Yeah.
And I love how he plays without a visor too. He's just got the bucket
Oh,
without.
Those guys are just absolutely grizzled. You know, there's nothing to it. Like I literally couldn't imagine. And these guys are just out here not giving a fuck. Like, probably diving face first in front of slap shots.
There's a guy on the Islanders, Matt Martin as well. He also doesn't wear a visor. Like
Matt
he's
Martin,
another guy who I'd like to see him and Ryan Reaves go at it. See who comes out on top on that, because those are two big.
I put my money on Ryan Reaves. That guy's a maniac. Also owns his own brewing company, which is big ups, big respect. I think it's like Revo 75 or something like that.
It's awesome.
Vegas, yeah.
What are the regulations behind that? Because I don't think you can, like, isn't there some regulation preventing players from, like, newer players from coming into the league and not wearing a visor?
Right. Yeah. So you gotta know it's part of the law, but if you didn't wear one,
how do they get away with it?
Well, those guys are grandfathered in, is what they call it. So because they didn't prior to this new regulation, they're okay. I guess it's privilege. You know, these boys are privileged. Look at them playing hockey through COVID and Vegas coming into Montreal, don't have to quarantine into Canada. You know what I mean? Like, these boys get privileges. Let's go. Higher class.
Take a quick break. All right, we're back.
Westy switched it up, man. Love it. You know, I think now would be a good time to sort of dive into what we talked about earlier, and that's Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury. You know, both great goaltenders. You know,
let's talk about this. You know, this goalie matchup of the century here. Let's dive right into it. So, what do you guys think about? So we got these two all-time goaltenders here at the top of their game. Marc-Andre Fleury, Carey Price. Is there anything you really notice about their games, playing style, differences in how they play, how they carry themselves, or anything?
I'll tell you right off the bat, they're completely different styles. Sure. You know, Fleury's a bit more of a hedgehog out there, I find. You know,
he likes to stack the pads, doesn't he?
He's on his gut a lot. Sometimes he gets him into danger, like it did last night. You know, Price has the style everyone wants, and I know for me that's what I aspired to be, and that's who I wanted to be. He's a great handler of the puck. Fleury's like a brick wall, though, and for some reason it's like whenever you see open net and you think they're gonna score, Fleury is able to get his body in the way of that puck. You know, from more of a technical side, I'll just keep running with it here a little bit, Dirk. Price plays. It's gonna be a little goalie nerd here, but he's angled towards the puck, so the angle he has on his trapping glove and his blocker are angled towards the puck. Sorry. And the way his pads are sort of shaped. Whereas Fleury is more of a flat-faced goaltender, so he's got a different angle on his catch glove, which, you know, you'll see him if you look at pictures side by each. They're both holding their hands differently, and so I don't know what the benefit is for either or, but yeah, Fleury is just he's a hedgehog out there. He's wrapping himself all up in a mess of stuff, then I guess I see Fleury also has had, whenever he's had success, he's got a good team in front of him. And again, that's a biased opinion, but I don't think Price has been able to see a team like Fleury, or have a team in front of him like Fleury has.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, you are a biased opinion, but I mean, Price has never had a team like the Penguins or the Knights in front of him. I mean, like guys like Suzuki and Perry or Jeff Petry, Phil Danault are great, and they recently added Mr. Toffoli, Mr. Canuck himself, but Crosby, Malkin, and, you know, guys like Mark Stone and
Peter Angelo. Thanks for bringing up Danault. That guy is friggin' over 60% in the face-off dot. Absurd last night.
Pizza man. It's not delivery, it's Danault.
Right. Yeah, I love how they'll get him out there and like he'll win the face off and bolt to the bench. And that's it. That's all he's doing is the face off. It's so funny. If you ever get a chance, I'd just keep an eye on him. It's pretty funny seeing. But Dirk, what do you give us some goalie technique?
Well, I think like you're saying, like Price is just your classic, completely kind of like what they'll teach you for technique. You know, everything's by the book. He's very, very calm when he plays. Whereas Fleury puts a lot of those kind of like classical elements, like he's going up for the big poke checks. He's going to stack the pads, like Wesley was saying. And I think they're totally different styles. And I don't think one's necessarily better than the other. You know, I think whatever kind of fits like the personality of the goaltender. And like Fleury can be like maybe a bit more of a hothead than Price, where he's so calm and collected, where it almost looks like he's almost like half asleep sometimes to me, Price out there. Because like I know he's not, but like he's so calm, and Fleury is the complete opposite. So it's really interesting to see like the two styles going at it. I think myself, I was kind of more like calm playing. I wasn't going out for like the big poke checks and everything, but really interesting to see the two styles.
He must get that sporadic attitude from the water he was drinking as a kid over on the other side of the pond there. You know? Labatt 50s, they tuned them differently.
Little Labatt 50, 750 mil action.
Yeah, you wake up the next morning.
Maybe that's what it is,
you don't
though.
give a fuck.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's honestly some like your personality element that really goes into it. You know, like it's interesting.
100%. Yeah, that's a great point. You know, you see Carey Price as a guy. You know, he's Christian. You know, he's got some native blood in him, and he's a very calm guy in interviews and stuff like that. And then you got Marc-Andre Fleury out there. I remember, you know, always had the Lamborghini and the sports car, and now he's playing in Vegas. So yeah, definitely has more of a sporadic attitude, and I 100% agree that definitely plays into it a lot.
Do you think like Price's attitude can ever cause him issues out there? Like how he's just really calm. Like, do you ever think maybe it's hard to stay as in the game when you're just like?
I saw it last night, and I almost.
Did you see him give his teammate that wink after he made that sick save?
Oh, that was nice. But I saw it last night, Dirk. It was near the end of the game, and I almost threw my remote through the TV there. But Price came out to handle the puck, and like for the most part, he's really good. But this time, like he just was a little bit too lax with it. Went to stick handle it, and like friggin' he lost it behind the net, and then had to make this crazy blocker save to recover. And then he's just there smiling, and I'm like, oh, don't do that, man.
It's funny though, like as a goalie, like when your team's playing well, which Montreal was, you know, starting off the first game, long the second, you can get kind of lose your mentality out there when your team's playing well, because if you're not involved in the shots, it's really hard to stay focused. So like, you know, maybe that could be part of what was going on. And but like it's impressive how these guys in the pro level are really able to stay tuned in the whole time. But I think that's one really impressive thing about like guys on this level is they can play as well when their team is playing well, because normally it's really hard when your team's like controlling play to keep up that save percentage. But all these guys are capable of it. So if you had to choose a style, you're going Carey Price. Like you don't want to play like Fleury, like hopping all over, like showboating everywhere.
Like, buddy, go look in the back closet over there. I got all of Price's sticks. I got all of his pads, man. Like, yeah, I was a goalie coach's dream. You know, just follow the straight and steady narrow road there. And yeah, didn't get me anywhere, but maybe I should have went with Fleury style.
Yeah, I think you got to probably drink a couple more Labatts to get to that Fleury level there, man.
I don't think you've had enough there, but have a couple more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
On his 10th, 50th.
Have you guys been watching any of the other series at all?
I haven't seen any of the Tampa series yet. What have you been watching it? Give me a rundown. What's going on?
Yeah, no, sure. I'll show you. Les Canadiens. I don't got time for those other boys. And it's funny, you know, up until Montreal started playing against Vegas, like the NHL to me personally was the Canadian division. I didn't watch any other games from outside of the Canadian division. So
same.
Like, in a sense, the Habs already won the cup here. So we're good to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Les Canadiens, Kings of the North.
Kings of the North, yeah. Where I didn't have faith, to be honest. From day one, I didn't think they were going to get through Toronto and classic. Well, yeah, you never know, but classic Toronto, right? Like it always happens to them, and it's going to continue to happen to them until the organization fucks off from Toronto. Those guys love choking. I don't know what it is. Must be
It's
something
funny,
in their
like,
water there.
as a kid, I'd always be surprised of these Toronto choke draws, but as I get older, it's like, oh, Toronto choked again. It is what it is. Like, and you talk to people from Toronto, and that's how they feel the same way. Like, they're not even surprised because that organization
It's just a
disappointed their
yearly
fans.
ritual, basically, at this point.
Yeah.
Like I at this point, if you were a Toronto fan, and this is straight face, dead serious, like you should look into getting therapy, because by now, like, that is a lot to handle. A lot to take in, many years of depression. And on the other side of it, if you're a Toronto player, you know, they give classes on how to teach or how to give a good blowjob, so you won't choke as much there.
Hey, easy there. My parents watch this, man. I might have to edit that one out a little bit.
Yeah. You're gonna have to edit a lot of this out. What happens when you get a Canadians fan on here, man?
I'll just tell
Go
him
to
not to
Labatt,
watch the
Canadian.
ones with Lahey. Just every time Lahey opens his mouth, just mute the computer.
Yeah. I got a lot to say about the Toronto team.
As a Sens fan, I'm always like really down on my team because, you know, Melnick's like the worst owner and everything, and I'm like, couldn't be harder than being a Sens fan. But like, we went to the conference finals in 2017, and the Leafs, it's been like since 2004 since they made it out of the first round. So like, even a joke of a team like Ottawa's like done better than Toronto when you look at it in the past like 15 years. So pretty bad for.
Has Toronto really not won a playoff series in that long?
Yeah, I think 2004.
Toronto hasn't won a playoff series since the Atlanta Thrashers won a playoff series. I think they're tied.
What a joke. And honestly, like, I would feel bad, except they're the most annoying fan base in maybe all of sports. Just every year it's like Austin, besides maybe the Oilers, it's either Austin Matthews this, Connor McDavid that, and it's just like
they're the Dallas Cowboys of hockey, man. That's what they are. Like, they get so much hype. Like, everyone buys it. They win 2 games. Everyone's thinking cup, and then they disappoint year after year after year. So you kind of love to see it as.
I don't know
how the Toronto media, man. It's like,
I think it is the media.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
Too many medias in Toronto, hey?
It's Westy, man. Just Westy chirping the Leafs, getting in their head. Getting in
TSN, eh? Toronto Sports Network, eh?
It's the Toronto Maple Leafs getting just thrashed on Brews and Bruise Reviews. That's what Austin Matthews is listening to this podcast. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
No, he's requesting a trade after he sees this one for sure.
No, he's going over to Europe. He wants to get out of North America.
The one thing that kind of separates hockey as a sports like business, and you don't see players just like forcing themselves out of franchises like you do in the NBA and the NFL, like, for the most part, because I mean, you can't just like buy out contracts or I don't know. I feel like trades are sometimes harder to make in hockey than they are in the NBA and the NFL. And players, like, star players, don't just like leave the franchise or like.
I think it's just like the players in the NHL, like having like a big ego is really looked down upon. You know, if you're a guy who like talks about yourself or wants to leave, you're kind of looked at just not being a team player. And that's kind of like the identity of the NHL in a way, you know, like you always talk about the team, you never talk about yourself. So like, it's definitely like a difference between the different leagues. But I think that kind of sometimes is bad for the NHL as well, because it's kind of, I think it's kind of interesting to see these like big players asking out and all this drama happening, which you don't really get in the NHL as much. It's good for headlines and everything.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA is so star driven. And I think the NHL is just a little more classy like that, you know?
They are, yeah.
I think for sports like the NBA, you know, these guys are brought up like that, right? Like, they're the star of their town, they're the star of their high school, then they're the star of their university, and then all of a sudden they're in the NBA, and everyone's been saying their last name, right? So that's all they got on their mind. But yeah, it's surprising you don't see that, where like you get Miami Heat a couple of years ago with all those guys on it. It's like that will never happen in the NHL. You're not going to see Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon on the same team anytime soon, right? But
No, yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Hey, do you boys want to touch on the A-Rod situation, Aaron Rodgers? What's going on there? Or do you guys have any thoughts on that? You want to just keep it straight hockey here?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Fill me in.
Lahey, are you not aware of what's going on?
No, I don't really have social media on the phone.
Oh, okay, true.
I personally think Aaron Rodgers is being a little bit of a whiner. I mean, I think Bruce Arians should have trusted him a little bit more with that field goal call. That was total BS. But I mean, he's had a good team around him. He has the best receiver in the league in Davante Adams. You can say, oh yeah, he has a right to be pissed because they didn't draft any offensive players. But I mean, they have the best receiver and the best quarterback. And I mean, it's like a lot of coaches, like Pete Carroll included, just they're very defensive, like center. They focus on defenses in the NFL because I mean, it's the age-old saying, you know, offense wins games, defense wins championships. And I mean, I feel like there's something else going on. I feel like it's not just his being disgruntled with front office at Green Bay. I mean, he literally just came off an MVP season, made the NFC Championship. It's just getting over that hump. And I mean, that doesn't, there's no way that can just fall on front office. I feel like there's some other stuff going on. You know, I've heard reports on the down low of, you know, maybe he wants to move down to Denver to be with his girlfriend, or I don't know, maybe be in warmer climate or something. I don't know. What do you think?
Hey, isn't pot legal in Denver?
I don't know, man. I kind of agree that I think he's been like a little bit of a diva, in the sense of like, yeah, you know, they drafted a quarterback in the first round last year, but like that's not a reason to want to get out. Like you've got a really good team there and a great fan base. Like, you know, in the Patriots, they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round, and like I didn't hear like Brady complaining about it all the time. So I think I don't know, being a little bit of a diva, maybe he needs to just put his head down and like stick with what they've got. But it is interesting. Like I heard the Packers didn't like inform him before they drafted a quarterback, and I heard Alex Smith talking about it, and he said like when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, he was fully aware that they were going to take a quarterback. So like a little bit disrespectful to Aaron. But I think not many quarterbacks would like ask out like the way he did. So I think he's like he's kind of like a big personality, maybe a big attitude. So it's hard to tell, but
Aaron Rodgers is a weird guy. Hey,
he's a weird little bit.
He's a little bit like awkward. I don't know.
Probably on the dope all the time.
Like I've heard in the locker room, like a lot of like there's reports that like some of his teammates don't like him and stuff, and like just like weird stuff. Not like Brady.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the Jordan Love situation is kind of similar to how he came in through the franchise, because what's his face? Brett Favre was the MVP before he came in, and then there was a little bit of animosity between the two, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers ended up being pretty good, and that's how he started his career. So it's kind of interesting seeing kind of the reverse Uno card being played on Aaron Rodgers there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it'd be like, imagine you're working a job and they draft someone who's like there to take it over for you. You know, like you definitely be a little bit on edge, like upset at your organization. But I think it'd be fun if you went to a new team or something, and like he said, imagine him on San Francisco or something. Like they'd probably be able to go all the way. So
that would be a good team.
Maybe put him on Lahey's Cowboys. Get rid of Dak.
Hey, just like Carey Price having his break from with the injury there, coming back and killing it. Dak's taking us to the Super Bowl. There's no doubt. Sometimes you need a year to like refresh and mature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe like 9 wins. I don't know about a Super Bowl, but I like Dak though. I like Dak, but
yeah,
they're not going all the way anytime soon.
Hey, Look at the Habs, baby. You never know.
It's funny, like look at all these controversy or quarterback controversies. Like Russell Wilson was kind of wasn't asked, but he's saying like these are the teams like I would be traded to. So like it's
Yeah.
almost like the end. The people are saying like it's a star-driven league, and at least in the NBA, how guys are asking out and asking for kind of control over the team. You're kind of seeing the same thing in the NFL with guys like Russell, like wanting more control over the team, Aaron wanting more control over who they draft, and like Brady's basically running the ship down there in Tampa Bay or whatever. So
Yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of a shift over in the NFL. It used to be, the owners had all the power. The players were kind of just pawns that they would move around, and you can get traded at any time, no questions asked. But I don't. I mean, besides the whole diva aspect of it, the players are the guys that are putting their bodies out there on the line. So I don't hate it seeing the players get a little bit more power,
me
a
too,
little bit
man.
of a power shift.
Like I think a lot of people will like shame you like if you go team to team, like when LeBron changes teams, a lot of his fans like follow over, and they'll they'll get called like bandwagons or whatever. But it's like who should I cheer for? Like this billionaire owner, or like this player who's just like a total legend? Like I don't really blame people for following the player, and I think they're kind of like more important than the owners. They're the ones that are doing the job. So
Yeah.
except for LeBron, I don't know, the phony goat. I don't know.
The Mickey Mouse man.
If you want to talk NBA, if you want to talk about KD going off the other night, like you can go for it.
Man. Oh my goodness.
Like
So-
NBA better than me, but what are your thoughts on that on the Nets?
All right. So the first two games in that series, the Nets went up 2-0, and it looked like it was going to be a sweep because that second game, when they defended home court, they won by 40, but I mean, the game was never that close. Like they could have won it by 60, but they put their benchers in, and the Bucks guys rounded the score up, but the game was over by then. So it looked like it was going to be a sweep. Then they go back to Milwaukee. They get 2 games, but Harden is out. And then at the end there, Kyrie and he went out. And at first I was like, oh, it's just Kyrie whining and doing his usual thing. But man, so he went in for a layup and he came down, and his ankle was completely twisted. He landed on someone else's foot, and it looked really, really scary. It looked really brutal. So I'm hoping Kyrie comes back, and you never like to see players go down like that, getting injured, not being able to do what they love to do and help out their teams. So it was looking like it was going to shift. So it went from the Nets being like the superpower, they're going to sweep the Bucks, everyone was saying it was like a championship contender. They could come out of the East. And then it went to the Bucks won 2 games. All these players get injured. And everyone's like, wow. So it's just KD left. There's one left out of the big 3 of Harden, Kyrie, and KD. So it was the big thing. Like, is KD going to be able to carry the Nets all on his own? And boy, did he ever. Like, oh my goodness. So he put up 49 points, and so many of those points were just like clutch bucket after clutch bucket, just like contested 3 with PJ Tucker's hand, not just in his face, like he had his fingers up his nose, poking his eyes out, like just incredible all-time performance by KD. And like I would say it's probably the best performance of Kevin Durant's career. It's I mean, that's a big game 5. That's the KD game. That's how it's going to be known.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I think a lot of people with KD, he got his championships when he was in Golden State, and he had Steph and Clay with him. So everyone's like, how far can he take it on his own? So he's just kind of proving all the haters wrong right now, like what he's capable of.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, everyone knows KD's one of the best scorers of all time. He's probably a top 20 scorer in the league ever. And, he's just so long and quick and just skilled with the ball. He's got that ball on the string. But, I hate to say it, but I was kind of like, when Harden went down, I was kind of just like, and, I actually really liked Harden when he was on Houston. I like Harden as a player. I just really like his game, even though everyone was kind of just like, the way Houston played with Mike D'Antoni, just kind of give the ball to Harden and everyone get out of the way. He has to touch it every time. He has to have the ball in his hands every play. It's not the way you win championships, but just watching Harden play was really cool to watch for me. And so on one hand, like when he went down, I was kind of just like, oh, that sucks. You never want to see a player get injured. But on the other hand, KD joined the most winningest regular season team of all time in the 2016 Warriors team. And so he was arguably the best player in the league, and he joined the best team in the league. And it was kind of just like, where's the competition in that? Like, everyone was pissed. And then he goes to Brooklyn. Seemingly he wants to have his own team. He doesn't want to have this all-star supporting cast. And then he brings in Kyrie and brings in Harden. And so they have 3 top 15 players in the league, possibly the best offense of all time. And it's like, where's the competition? Like, where's the fun in this? So, I mean, on one hand, you have Harden who's going down, and it's like, you hate to see it. You don't want to see it. But on the other hand, like, I was kind of just like, okay, this is good. Like, I want to see KD sweat. He hasn't sweat in the playoffs. He hasn't actually had a difficult task in the playoffs since 2016 when he was on OKC. And, it ended up bringing out the best of KD. So hopefully Harden gets back and Kyrie's ankle heals. But I mean, that's my spiel on the whole game 5.
Do you think this is KD like proving to the league like kind of the legend he is? Or like, I guess we'll see, because we'll see what happens. But
well, man, like we really haven't seen much of KD in the last like 3 years, eh? Like,
yeah, he was injured.
A KD like this at least.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I think Wesley's a big LeBron guy. Like, he doesn't want to see KD succeed. He wants to see his man LeBron just dominate the league. And
I'm a big LeBron guy. But I can recognize. I'll give credit where credit's due. I think with that game, he kind of just proved he's the best player in the world. I mean, I love LeBron and all, but LeBron's getting older, and we don't know. When he came back, he kind of just he wasn't the same LeBron all year. This season he missed the most games he's ever missed in his career in a season. Missed like 27 games or something. And LeBron's he's great. I think he's the second best player of all time. But right now, I think KD's the best player in the world right now. I think he just is. And it's not just on offense. KD's defense is highly, highly, highly underrated, because no one likes to talk about his defense because he's such an amazing offensive player. But in that game, in game 5, he was the Rudy Gobert of the Nets. He was locked in, standing in the paint. He was blocking shots. He was their rim protector, and it really showed what KD can actually do.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to see. So I'm excited to keep watching.
Super excited. These playoffs have been just incredible, and we also saw something similar actually yesterday in the Clippers, because Kawhi is also injured. There's been so many superstars that have been injured this season, and it sucks. And I think part of that has to do with the quick turnaround and lack of rest that these players are getting, and the constant pounding on their knees and ankles and joints and everything. So Kawhi went out, and Paul George put up 37 points and won game 5. So the Clippers went up 3-2 in the series. And yeah, I don't know if the Clippers are going to make it much farther, but it was kind of a statement game from Paul George because, you know, it was kind of becoming an internet like trend, like make fun of Paul George, playoff P, you know, he sucks, whatever.
What's the playoff P thing?
Okay, so basically back when so before Paul George's injury, he was like the man on the Pacers. So he was said to be one of the best. Like there was a certain point in the league when Paul George, and it wasn't a crazy, it's crazy to think this now, or you would laugh at it if I said it, but at one point it was like you could say Paul George is the best two-way player in the league, and that wouldn't be like too crazy. So he had his injury, but you know, he came back and he played pretty well on OKC. And there was a press conference when he was just like, I think he said, "Oh, y'all haven't seen playoff P yet." And so it was a little bit weird. Like Carmelo Anthony, who was playing for OKC at the time, he had a following interview, and the reporter asked him, "What's this playoff P shit?" And he's just like, "I have no idea, man." Like he came up with that nickname all on his own, which is kind of weird. But so basically Kawhi and Paul George met up in Los Angeles, the Clippers, and they were supposed to be the new big team in LA. And they were supposed to meet up with LeBron and AD in the Western Conference Finals of the playoffs last year. And we all know what happened. They choked big time. Paul George hit the side of the backboard in a 3-point attempt in crunch time, and Kawhi just couldn't buy a bucket to save his life against the Denver Nuggets in Game 7. So they both choked, and so that's when the meme started: playoff P, way off P, whatever it is. So, you know, everyone's kind of been making fun of him, but, you know, Paul George played insane in the regular season. And I think it's just been an internet thing because despite how well he's played all season, people still love to joke about. And they don't really say anything when he does well, but then he plays like garbage, and all the NBA fans on Twitter and Instagram go crazy. So, you know, I kind of liked seeing him kind of step out of the shadow of last year and show up when his team needed it most.
Thanks for your spiel, Jake. Thanks for the NBA segment of the podcast there, eh?
Yeah, no worries.
I have little to zero knowledge in that.
And anything you guys want to touch on, Lahey? What do you think about the U.S. Open? You got a winner for this weekend, or what do you think?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about that the other day. And as much as we joke about the guy, Bryson's got a chance, man.
Bryson, you think so? I think he's teeing off right now, or like I saw earlier. I checked in, teed off.
Yeah, they're playing late. Yeah, probably Bryson. Oh, probably not Bryson, but it'd be funny to see him win. If I was gonna leave you boys with one thing here tonight, it's just gonna be a quick little splurt. Montreal in 6. That's all I'm saying.
I got Montreal in 7.
Montreal in 6. No. We can't bring it to 7 games, or else they'll scare the shit out of me there. So
that's true. Game 7's in Vegas too. You got to finish it off at home. That's true.
Yeah. Finish it off at home. Get a little rest and go win the cup in 4. So
I love it.
I love it. What are your predictions the rest of the series?
Oh, don't make me do this. That's tough. I want to say my heart's with Montreal. They're Canada's team right now, so I'm going to say Montreal in 7.
Les Canadiens.
Let's go, Les Canadiens de Montréal.
I've got a feel on the Cup's coming home this year. I don't know why.
It's been a long time. Boys.
It's been a while.
You know, I'm not a Habs fan, but I wouldn't hate to see them kind of break the curse of Canadian teams never winning it.
Yeah. Let's do it. We'll see, boys.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Westy. It's an absolute honor.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. Yeah, appreciate it.
Let's
Yeah,
do it again
let's
once the parade is over. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
At
bring
the
the
parade, at the
podcast to the
parade.
parade. Exactly. Dude.
Couple more Labatt 50s in this guy.
You're gonna be way too hammered for that.
Cheers, boys.
All
Thanks
right,
a lot.
take care. See you, gents.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. As always, make sure to smash that like button. And for more in-depth sports analysis and Brews reviews, make sure to subscribe to stay notified of my future videos. We're also on Spotify, so if you like listening to podcasts while driving, working out, cooking, or whatever it is, make sure to check out Brews and Brews Reviews on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And we've got a great couple of special guests planned for the next couple episodes, so make sure to stay tuned, stay thirsty, and keep bruising.